Now this next track will be building the bridge, fostering startup ecosystem. The chairing session is Professor Jennifer Aarons. I think.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Professor. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Oh, Sonate is there. Sonate, wish you great recovery for your mom. God bless you and bless your mom. Don't worry. You do some great job for us. And you supporting us in the 5th year. Really, I like the EOS, and I need everybody through the world using EOS strategy. More than welcome. It's with you now.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, doctor, for those kind of words. My mother got into a car accident this morning, a very short while ago. So everyone is fine. Everything is okay. But I did reach out to Dr. Hanadi to say, hey, there may be an issue with me attending, but everything is fine. So here I am. I am going to pull up the presentation, walk you through something called EOS. And EOS is the entrepreneurial operating system, and it is a set of simple concepts and practical tools used by more than 275,000 companies around the world, and they use it to clarify, simplify, and achieve their vision. It's an operating system, which helps you fill the gap between what you know you want to do, your strategy, your vision, and what you ultimately do. And our premise is that for most companies, the gap in performance and success and achievement actually exists in that space between the knowing and doing gap. Given the time that I have today, about 40 minutes, I thought I would walk you through an exercise and introduce you to it, and also use this time, given the hustle and the bustle of the work around us, to actually give you time to reflect and do some work on your own. So turn this into a working session for you based on whatever project, organization you may be working at, and hopefully apply some of these concepts so you can see how they work. The presentation is From Vision to Traction. It's a 45-minute EOS experience to help you gain clarity, build alignment, and move faster together with your team, with your thoughts, however you're debating doing it. So what I'd like to do is say, if you can, get something to write on. So either a notebook and a piece of paper, pull up a Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Just get something so that you can do some thinking and some processing while we go through this exercise. Let me give you some data first. So the problem and the opportunity. Now, this strategy applies to organizations, but very honestly, this can apply to your own approach to the work that you're trying to take on. How clear are you on what you're doing? And MIT Sloan Management Review published this article. No one knows your strategy, not even your top leaders. And a study by BCG says only about 50% of senior leadership team members agreed on the same company-wide strategic priorities, which means that even just within your leadership team, there is great misalignment between 50% of you and half and half. Imagine that noise at the highest levels of the organization, and imagine how much noise that creates as you go down to senior managers, middle managers, and all the way down to your frontline employees. So this is one of the premises around which EOS was created. Most organizations struggle not because they lack ideas. We all have amazing ideas, but it's because people aren't aligned on what matters most. And so today, I'm going to give you some space to just explore that for yourself. Again, think about this in terms of your organization. Think about this in terms of your team. Think about this as a project or an area where you may be volunteering. We're going to work on this journey, and I'm going to ask you to pick a mindset to work on. And EOS helps everyone get on the same page and moving in the same direction, which sounds very simple, very easy. And that's why on the first slide, I said, it's a simple set of practical tools, because it is very simple and straightforward. But often it's so simple and straightforward that we skip past it. And as a result of that, we miss building something that is foundational. As an overview, this is the EOS model. I'm going to walk you through it. It starts with vision. And so I'm going to show you a document that helps you get on the same page around vision today. But the premise of this wheel is vision is at the top. You have to be clear on your vision. And then the two most important things that happen next are you can have the most amazing vision, but if you don't have the right people in the right seats, then your vision will not be realized, cannot be realized. Similarly, if you're not measuring and people can't connect their performance to the vision, then you don't have data, then you actually don't understand how well you're doing. If you get those three correct, you have the right vision, you have the right people in the right seats, they're aligned with your culture and they get the job and they want to do the job, and you're measuring performance, you're in an excellent place. And the rest of your time can be spent solving issues, improving processes, and making sure you're moving at the same rhythm and cadence across the organization. This is the EOS model, and your business is at the center of it. So today's focus, again, 35, 40 minutes. Here's what I want to do. I want you to reflect on where your organization has and lacks alignment. I want you to revisit your top short and long-term priorities. And then I want to put you in position to equip your team to move faster. So I'm going to send you some prompts. We'll do some conversation and discussion if people are willing to share. But I'm going to give you time to actually do some thinking. This is something called the Vision Traction Organizer. So when we share assets after, I will share an example of this with you. When I say getting on the same page, it literally is the same page, front and back. It's a single 8.5 by 11 document. And this takes your entire strategy up from your values and your vision and your 10-year target, all the way down to what are you doing in the next 90 days, which are those rocks. And that's the journey I want you to take you on. EOS is kind of like going to a chiropractor. Your back is out of alignment. It snaps everything into place from your head to your heart. And that's what we're trying to do for your organization. The first thing we're going to focus on is this idea of the 10-year target. It's your big why. So I want you to think about, where are you working right now? Are you working at a university? Are you working in an organization? Are you leading an organization? Are you leading a team? Similarly, in your personal life, is there a project you're trying to get off the ground? Is there something you're trying to accomplish? What I want you to write down is 3 to 5 sentences minimum. What is your big why? You can think, I say 10-year target, but it's really how long-term are you thinking and looking out? What's your 10-year target? Is it your 3-year picture? What's the time frame? But what is the big long-term reason your organization exists? And what does it aim to accomplish in that time? What's the big picture? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. Just write. And then we'll come back together and talk about this.
So Nate, is anything has happened?
No, I just asked people to answer this question, to write this down and answer this question. So I'm giving everybody 3 minutes to write down 3 to 5 sentences about their big why. I'll say it's hard to know if folks are here without your cameras on, but I'm going to assume that folks are here and participating. It's a great reflection exercise. I promise you that if you do this with me in the next 30 minutes, you are going to exit that 30 minutes likely with one of the most productive 30 minutes you've had in a long time. If I can ask if there's anybody on the Zoom who did this exercise, can you share either in the chat or on type it in the chat or come off and share what did you come up with as your big why? What did you write down? Feel free to share in the chat, post in the chat. See, I got a list of participants here.
Sunit, this is Jennifer Ahrens. I'm the moderator of this roundtable, and I just want to say I think that this is a really great activity, and it's a great opportunity for, people to reflect on what they're doing, why they're doing it. I mean, myself, I actually changed careers from working in the hospitality industry, and now I'm a professor at Stockton a couple of years ago.
Excellent.
So, my big why was
Yeah.
trying to get that better workplace balance and, wanting to give back to, the industry that had supported me for so many years. So, I think this is a great exercise, and, I see we've got one participant that posted. So, I'll let you go ahead. They said academic and
Yeah.
research target goal.
That's perfect. And so here's what I'd say, a few things. And thank you. I mean, first of all, Jennifer, thank you. I know that pivot well. I now teach at Rutgers University, so you and I should connect. And it was a similar pivot for me as well. Here's what I love about, first of all, thank you for sharing academic and research target goal. The benefit to sharing is, here's what I would encourage you to do. One of the reasons why I said write 3 to 5 sentences is when you write that first 1 sentence or 2 sentences, it can feel surface level. If you write 5 sentences about your big why, you will start to unearth really the motivations behind it. It allows you to go a layer deeper. You'll understand it more. You'll be clearer on why you're doing, and you'll remember it better. So retention will improve. So to anyone who went through the exercise, I really encourage you to think about 3 to 5 sentences minimum, because that helps you just lock it in more. Here's your big why. So Jennifer, to your point, here's the next part of what EOS does. And actually, this is the first thing we do in EOS, but I wanted to highlight it here. It's this idea of core values, because too often we jump to what we want to do. You're building an organization, you're building a nonprofit, you're creating a course to teach, you're creating a presentation for this conference, right? And so, for example, when I did this exercise, I thought of my values, getting 30 minutes with you all. I thank the gracious doctor for giving EOS this time. And I said that one of the most important things for me, something I value, is giving the people I present to space and grace to do work that they may not otherwise have the time to do. So space, 30 minutes to actually do this work, and grace, no pressure. No one's judging you, no one's evaluating you, no one's demanding your time. And so as much as what I want to do is evangelize and share this amazing and powerful tool set, what's really important to me is how I do it, my values. Jennifer mentioned that she wants to find balance. That's an example of a value. So what I'd like you to do next is take another 3 to 5 minutes and write down the values that you are trying to operate by. And when we talk about core values, we talk about the things that you are at your core, right? Who are you at your core? What are the values that define how you work, how you interact, and how you make decisions? The interesting thing about values is too often we use words like freedom, justice, we use love, we use these words, but they mean different things to each of us, right? I can tell you that love is a value of mine, but your definition of love and mine are likely not the same thing. And so the important thing about picking these 3 to 5 values is to write a sentence about what it means to you. So I'm going to similarly give you 3 minutes. Just write down the top 5 values that you have that come to mind for you and try and write a sentence about what it means to you. So I'll give you 3 minutes to do that. Oh, I love this. Thank you to the Zoom user who is sharing. As you all continue to write, this is where I think this is a really powerful statement. Let's break it down, right? It says in the chat, pull this up. It says serving community. If you break this down segment by segment, this person has said, okay, at a high value, one of the most important values is that I am in service of my community. That's a strong value, right? This idea of service. Now, what they mean by service can be different to each of us, right? And so they've clarified that by saying employ chemistry in our life, right? Which is incredible. So it's serving the community, and the how, another value, is this idea of chemistry, employment of science and chemistry in our life, right? And then marketing the lab product, being productive in a world of applications. Like, you have all of these clarities. The benefit to writing this down is that now when you have these, you see this sentence, you now have you set your long-term goal. So you have your North Star, right? And now it can feel really challenging to get to that North Star. But as soon as you articulate your values, it starts becoming tighter. There starts becoming constraint. And now you have the ability to know how you're going to pursue it. It doesn't feel like there's an infinite set of options. By clarifying your values, you've clarified how you want to go about this. And this is a good way to get on track or to know if you are getting off track. And that's the power of values. Does anybody else want to share an example of their values? I shared one of mine, which was, I believe in giving the people I work with space and grace. I want to give you the time to do this work, and I want you to give you the space to do it. And I also want to make sure you don't feel judged when doing it. So you can trip, fall, stumble your way through and refine the work. So you exit with something really positive and powerful. Anybody else want to share? Jennifer, can I call on you? Did you write down anything? Since you're here, I'm going to at least tag you in.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the reasons why I kind of moved into education was throughout my career in the hospitality industry, I really enjoyed just the developing, the mentoring, and seeing the proverbial light go on. And even when I was developing an hourly employee who then became a supervisor, who then became a manager, who is now a director, that fuels me. So that's an important value for me, is seeing other people succeed. And, so I have that opportunity to share my experiences, good and bad.
Yeah, both. I agree. And these students these days want to see both. And I love that when you highlight that value, it makes even more sense that you have shifted into an academic environment. If you're interested in seeing the light go on, right, then what better place to do that persistently than in the classroom? So congratulations on aligning your values to your decision. Is there anybody else that I can ask to share or put something in the chat? Come on, folks. Anybody else? No? Okay. We'll keep moving. So here's what you've done so far, right? You have set this incredible, you've written down, you've codified ideally 3 to 5 sentences, maybe for the first time in a while, your long-term, your big why, your long-term vision. What we at EOS call the 10-year target. The reason we call it the 10-year target is we don't believe that people dream big enough these days. We always undercut our dreams. We always talk about why we can't do something. We want to make sure we anchor in something big, powerful, and meaningful. We don't want to worry about how or whether it can be done first. The first thing we want to do is have the dream. And we still didn't jump into how we want to get the work done, right? The next thing we did, instead of jumping to how we could do the work, is we talked about our values. So we said, okay, this is the big thing we want. The next thing is how I want to operate, how I want to work. It's not about success or failure. It's about how I want to feel and what I believe in as I do this work. You've got a dream, you've got guardrails. The next thing I want to ask is look 12 months out. Take 12 months from today, mark it to November 10th, 2026. What needs to happen in the next 12 months? So we're at this conference next year. Imagine we're at this conference next year. What needs to happen in the next 12 months to ensure you are on track for your big why? So what are the things you need to do in the next 12 months to ensure that your big why is happening and you're doing it according to your values? I'll give you 3 minutes. I love that. Make the product in the market, which is great. I would encourage you to take that. What does that mean? Does that mean deliver the product to the market? Does that mean a certain number of customers, certain number of users? Does that mean marketing material is available? Is this an alpha, beta, or a test? Take that, make the product in the market, and make it 3-dimensional. Imagine you're standing there. What do you feel? What do you see about that product in the market? Make that 3-dimensional. Do you have to complete is there any patent or trademarking work that has to be done? Is there any user testing that has to be done? Is there is there a pricing model that has to be built? When you say make the product in the market, make that 3-dimensional. And it would be really powerful because you'll start to see your priorities for the next year shape up really clear, right? I'll give you another 2 minutes. Okay. So you're visualizing. This is helpful. Thank you. Whoever you are, you're a hero to me on this presentation. Thank you for participating. It's really helpful. And for those watching, it's helpful to see you work through it. Thank you for honoring my prompt and going deeper. You're in the visualization stage, product value, being ready to convince industry for the model product. Excellent. That's great, right? And that's what I mean by grace, right? Space is to do this work, and grace is to work through this work. And that's what you've just done. This is exactly the kind of work I would encourage you to do. I'll show you to the individual. This exercise, this document may be really helpful for you. Because if you look at it, you'll see, if you were to fill this out for your product today, right? You would see, you'd say, okay, what is our vision? What is our focus, the purpose, the cause, the passion, the niche? What is our 10-year target? Then it gets you into this really neat marketing strategy idea. And then it says, okay, in 10 years, you have this. What do you need to do in 3 years? And then you get to this page. You say 1 year, which is the exercise you just did. And now you can see it starts to put numbers against it. What is your future date? Is there a revenue number, a profit number, a number you want to hit, maybe a number of users? I would highly encourage you, the individual who's commenting, I will send this one pager out, but I would really encourage you to explore just taking time with your team or with yourself. Take an hour or two and complete this. You'll be amazed at how powerful that is for aligning you and whoever you're working with on the direction that you want to go. And it's powerful. I do this with nonprofits. I do this with startups. I do this with enterprises. As long as you are a team with a vision that wants to have everybody on the same page and bought in, where you can't do it all by yourself, it's a really, really powerful tool. Okay, let me proceed. 12 months out. Is there anyone else that wants to share 12 months out? So for me, right, my 12-month out is my goal is to have EOS clients and doing this work 40% of my work day, of my work week, 40% of my time, which to me is, that's a powerful thing, right? I have 40 hours a week. So I am trying to get, I do 5 days a week, which is 2 full days a week. I want to be focused on EOS. And so I have some targets to get to against that.
Suneet, we have another posting in the chat.
Thank you. I missed that. Thank you for saying that. Sharif, thank you. The best person is the conduct a serious SWOT and develop plans that address the labs. Yes. So SWOT is a very powerful analysis. We do SWOT. It is after we do this exercise that we just shared, we do actually conduct a SWOT, and we encourage folks to revisit the SWOT once a year as a team, typically led by the CEO and the go-to-market person. The one challenge or the one recommendation, there's no challenge. The one recommendation about a SWOT is if you don't have your values and your priorities, et cetera, aligned in the beginning, right, then you can find yourself answering and responding to the SWOT without a compass. And so the only thing I encourage you to do, whether you do the SWOT first and you do EOS, EOS is about operations. It is about operationalizing your strategy. I think it's a great balance to the SWOT because it also helps you ensure that you're not just chasing the market in an analysis. You're actually doing stuff that you are passionate about doing. SWOT is an excellent tool. Stakeholder feedback, interviews, market analysis, all of those things are valid commercially. But once you have that, how do you take that and bring it to your team? That's the exercise that we are here talking about. So Sharif, thank you so much. And again, not only should you do the SWOT, it is excellent to revisit the SWOT analysis every year at a minimum. Okay. The last thing I want to tell you is, okay, so let's refresh the exercise. You've gone from the big why. What is the big reason we are here? And the big reason you are taking on this initiative. You've then put some guardrails and constraints around it and said, hey, my values matter. How I feel and how I operate and make decisions on this journey to this amazing thing, this big why, are important as well. So you've established some constraints and some values. Then you said, okay, in order to make sure I'm on target for that big why, here's what I've got to do over the next 12 months. Shift from visualizing a product to bringing it to market. Shift from having an idea to getting a clear percentage, like I am 40% of my time focused on this. This is where the rubber meets the road. Over the next 90 days, I want you to be able to draw a straight line from the very top of your idea to what you're doing over the next 90 days. What do you need to do over the next 90 days so that you are on track for your 1 year, so that you are on track for momentum against your 10-year target? And we call these rocks because there's that popular internet meme that went around for a long time where there was a professor at the front of the class, they had a big glass jar, and they had small bowls of rocks, sand, and water. And they said, all of these things have to fit. How do you get these things to fit into the jar? And most of us have probably heard this. And the students struggle to get it in. Some put the water in first and they put the sand in first. And then there's no room for the rocks, right? And the trick is that you put the rocks in first, then you pour in the sand, it fills in the space around the big things, and then you pour in the water, which fills in the rest of the space that remains. The order in which you prioritize matters. And so the reason we call them rocks is we want you to pick the biggest things that you have to do. And if you don't get these done in the next 90 days, then your 1 year plan is at risk. So what are the most important things you're going to do over the next 90 days? What do you have to get done, have to prioritize, have to complete so that you can feel comfortable that you're making momentum against that 1 year plan? So again, I'll give you another 3 to 5 minutes. 3 minutes, write down. The sweet spot is for an individual, especially if you're early, you really don't want more than 3 to 5, right? And a maximum of 5 to 7. What gets neat is your organization and the entity has rocks, then each individual and team has rocks, and they all start laddering up into what you're doing for your organization and idea to move forward. If you're an individual, then you are the organization, right? So what do you need to do over the next 90 days to make progress against your 1 year plan? And so to the 2 individuals that approached, right, whether it's the Zoom user or Sharif, what are the 3 to 5 most important things you have to do in the next 90 days? And hold yourself accountable to it. Okay. Anyone have anything to share in terms of that, going from this like big picture, and just in 30 minutes, we went from this massive long-term aspiration to now thinking about what we need to do in the next 90 days to make that possible. And we built steps along the way. Right? We did 10-year, typically in EOS, we would do a 10-year, a 3-year, a 1 year. And when you start reinforcing that along the way, the 90 days becomes something you feel urgently you want to do. You want to you feel energized to prioritize it because it helps you build against your aspiration. Can I ask anybody to share? What do you need to do over the next 90 days? Any takers? Jennifer, can I tap you for at least a 2-way conversation?
Sure.
Oh, wait. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Tap you back in. Yeah. Finding a fund and partnership. That's clear, right? That is sharp and clear. Now what you know, in order to find a fund and partnership, you really can think about the next 90 days and say, what are all the things that need to happen so that I can find this fund and partnership? And that's one, right? What would be interesting is if you're on a team, you would say, okay, finding a fund and partnership is our organization or our team's rock. My marketing person has to create the script and the deck. My product person has to make sure the product is ready and meets the expectations in the deck. My CEO has to start opening conversations with potential, and board have to start opening conversation with funders. So everyone's got 3 or 4 different rocks. And if everybody does what they're supposed to do, at the end of this 90 days, this idea of a fund and partnership is going to be highly probable, right? Now, there's certain things that are out of your control, right? Because you can't ultimately fund yourself, but you will at least know that you did everything you could to make that possible. And that's the power of it. I'm sorry, Jennifer, I would still love to hear from you. What was your, if anything?
No, I was just gonna say, I'm going backwards from when I made the transition. So, for me at that point, looking 90 days out and having that plan was, okay, what do I need to, I need to go back to school. What are the courses I'm going to take? How am I going to balance, so what were those things? So, for me, it was more of a personal prioritization, to get to, where I needed to go. So it just really depends on what the goal is.
Absolutely. I think you hit it right. And sometimes the 90 days, it can feel overwhelming. And that's why if you look and say, okay, I have so many things to do. But then if you step back and say, well, actually, these are my values. This is my long-term aspiration. Of all these things I'm going to do, which are going to connect and help me maintain momentum? So Sharif, thank you. No business would fly in absence of a values basket. Amen. Thank you. I appreciate you. Leadership is everybody's business. Graduation is step forward to hub and hug. Face bravely your mistakes, set a crushing plan, turn the compass direction, right? And I think those are great, excellent values, right? Like leadership is everybody's business. That tells you that when you're building an organization or a team, Sharif values leadership. It's for everybody. And that's not all organizations. We've all had bosses and managers who wanted to be the leader and wanted us to execute the work. And Sharif is setting a vision for an organization that's very different. And they don't want somebody to come into the organization that needs to be told what to do. And so this helps with hiring. This helps with right people, right seats. It helps with everything. Sharif, thank you for sharing that. And you don't need 5, right? If you can articulate it sharply in 3, like you've done here, then that's excellent. And I think, Jennifer, thank you for sharing like this idea of it's personal. Sometimes the 90 days, it can be overwhelming or it can be clear, which is I need to get started, which is really powerful. Folks, we're coming up on time. I hope this was a helpful exercise for you all. It's called the Vision Traction Organizer. It's a really powerful tool and you can do it yourself. I encourage folks to run this experiment and any team they're on. Families do this, right? Husbands and wives and spouses do this with each other, do this with their children, do this for the family. This idea of what are we trying to get done, right? How are we thinking? And how do we all get on the same page, which is the most important thing? And what I'll tell you is, why do you need somebody to help you with that? What I'll say is that in hierarchical settings, the research has shown that most people don't talk. They stay silent. Fewer than 10% of people confront issues directly when they've got someone senior above them in a role. And the greater the power dynamic, the more likely they are to stay quiet. And 70% plus withhold concerns or ideas because they're afraid of how it's going to be received. When you tell people your values, when you say leadership is everyone's business, you're making it clear that you want everybody to step up. You start turning down the dial of uncertainty and that fear of negative and unpredictable reactions because everybody is aligned with the same values. They know what we value. And if they're living outside the values, then they know they're going to be corrected. But the benefit to EOS is professionally facilitated groups reach decisions 2.7x faster and produced plans rated 43% higher in quality. It is hard to be the person in the organization, leading the organization, that's also facilitating the conversation, because you want to be a part of it and your team needs to see you be a part of it. And that's the role that EOS plays. And so I appreciate you all. If you want to chat about EOS or you want to chat about any of the work that I do, this is my LinkedIn, this is my QR code. Please connect, suneet.bhatt@eosworldwide.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. And it's a real pleasure. And I really appreciate the work that the Good Doctor does with this event and the team does with this event and all the hosts that come in. Jennifer, thank you so much for also being a guinea pig and letting me tap on you for conversation. It was great to hear your perspective. And again, how values aligned you are. Like, that's beautiful and a model for folks. Everyone, it was really nice to meet you. Thank you for joining. And with that, I will turn it back over to the hosts.
Suneet, thank you very much, and also expressing my concern and wishes for good health for your mother as well.
Thank you.
So hopefully she's doing fine. But some really powerful messaging there. So thank you all very much. We do have another presenter scheduled, John Fitzpatrick. I'm not sure if he is on.
John, I don't believe is joining, which is why Doctor told me to go from 10 to 10:45.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
John and I did the presentation together last year. He was unable to make it, so I was like, I'll just carry it.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can certainly open up the floor to questions for anybody that has any questions or comments about this really interesting, exercise. And I think, again, I shared a little bit about my journey. It's important to kind of look at who you are and where you are personally, but also as an organization. Our university is currently going through some administrative changes. So charting that course and seeing where we're headed, and everybody's trying to find their footing, and what are but doing all of that while trying to maintain the core values of our university. And at heart, we are a liberal studies education, but we have, of course, business and hospitality and criminal justice and all these. But finding what your values are and making sure that you develop a strategic plan to meet those values is really important.
Amen. That's it. And sometimes we just get past the values and skip past the connections. So it's always a good reminder. It's the simple stuff that's the most powerful.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and thank you, Sharif, and thank you to our Zoom user for participating. Yeah. Participation via Zoom is always kind of a challenging thing. Especially when we have so many people across the globe at different times.
Yeah, I get it. And the camera's off. I totally get it. Different time zones. Okay, I'm going to hand it back.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.